Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Today we're going to be talking about if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. So in terms of your workouts, if you're not pushing yourself or increasing the intensity as you get more fit, you're not going to progress along your journey. A lot of people that we coach and train when they're first starting out, they obviously are easing into new workouts and lifts, and they can't always do them to the intensity or to the weight as other people or maybe as us. So they would say things like, this is really easy for you guys. And the truth is, it really never gets easier, because as you get more fit, you have to increase the intensity. So an example that I use for people is, let's say you're doing a workout and you have 1 minute to complete certain number of reps with a certain weight. Maybe you do 10 reps with a 20-pound weight for a few weeks, and then as you get more fit, you're either going to do more reps or more weight, and it's always going to keep increasing as you get more fit. Whereas somebody that doesn't make any progress, they'll just keep using the same weight and doing the same reps all the time for a long duration of time, but they'll never see any change. And we are always trying to constantly change and get people results, and we are trying to get results. So, as we get stronger and stuff, we are doing similar workouts as somebody that maybe has never worked out before, but we're using way heavier weights, or maybe performing a lot more reps, or maybe we're doing it twice as fast, something like that. So you're always looking to change the weights, either increasing them or the reps, or do a faster time. So for example, completing a workout in a shorter duration of time, something like that. That intensity is always going up. So it never really gets easier, but that is the only way to really make progress and see change in your results.
Yeah, that's the whole thing that we're looking for when coming into the gym, is to adapt to what we're doing. That's basically what we're trying to do, is give our body a stimulus to adapt. And if you think about it, like, your body is going to adapt to, say, the 20 pounds for 10 reps after a few weeks. And then it thinks, oh, I don't have to change anymore because I have enough fitness, strength to do this for the rest of my life. So it doesn't work on, losing body fat, building muscle, building strength. It's just content at staying at that same spot, that same level, unless you keep pushing the boundary. Now, you don't want to go overboard and push it too far. You don't want to get wrecked after every workout where you're sore for 3 days and can't sit on the toilet. You want to be able to still push it and make sure that you're really close to that red line. The red line would be your maximum intensity, and you're pretty much laying on the floor afterwards. You want to be really close to that, say about 90% for most of your workouts when it comes to the CrossFit Metcon style workouts, or for strength training, or for hypertrophy training. If you're doing pull-ups or if you're doing squats or something, you want to leave there's reps in reserve that we talk about, and there's also perceived rate of exertion. So perceived rate of exertion would be on a scale of 10, how hard would you rate this? 10 would be I couldn't do anything, I couldn't do any more. 1 would be I could do this for hours. So you want to be in that usually 8 area for the rate of perceived exertion, and then for reps in reserve, you'd want to leave 2 or 3. Think that, okay, I could probably do 2 or 3 more reps at this weight, and then that you're pushing your body to the level that you should be to create the changes you want.
I think that a lot of people, especially once they start working out and they get to a good place, you kind of get afraid of trying something new because you don't want to look like you're a beginner again, or you don't want to look silly. But we were just talking about Taylor's trying to learn how to do double under jump ropes backwards. I'm trying to learn how to do snatches better, and handstands and pull-ups and muscle-ups and all those things. And I think a lot of times people don't see that even we have things that we're still learning and still struggling with and still failing at over and over again, but that's the whole point, is that we never stop learning. A lot of times, if we teach a class or do a personal training session, people assume that we're just kicking their butts, but that our workouts are easy for us, but then once they see us in the middle of our workout, they're like, oh, you actually, you do struggle too. It's that's the whole point. We are going to push ourselves. We're going to use heavier weights. We're going to do whatever we have to do to make the workout more challenging. So kind of like like they already said, you can go up in your weights, you can do more reps at the same weight, you can do a workout faster, or you can even slow down your reps. So for example, if you're bench pressing, you can do normal bench press, but you can try to do like a 4 or 5 second eccentric like we talked about last week, and that's going to challenge you in a different way and help build your strength. So there's always something that you can do differently or something new you can learn, and you just have to not be afraid to try something new. Like, you have to not be afraid to fail, because you're going to fail a million times before you get it right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely agree with like always trying to push yourself and learn new things. Like, we all started somewhere. We didn't all know how to do all these lifts forever. We were in the same boat as you might have been, or maybe you are right now, learning something new. And I have that same thing happen all the time. People will walk in, and if I'm doing like ring muscle ups or some kind of crazy weight with the barbell, they say you make that look really easy. And the truth is, it's not easy. It's very, very hard. I've just, through practice and consistency, gotten better at it, but it's a very challenging workout. I've built myself up to that certain intensity that I need to continue challenging myself and progressing in my sport or my training that I'm doing. But people can always get to that point. They just have to start with the basics and then continue to increase the intensity. We could also basically just say that this is progression. You're constantly trying to progress through your training and challenge yourself in order to change and adapt and get to that level that you want to be at. So if you see somebody that's maybe doing something that you want to do or you can't do yet, don't say, oh, I wish I could do that. Just ask yourself, how could I be able to do that? What do I need to do? Maybe talk to that person or ask one of us, how can I do my first pull-up, or how can I do, a squat snatch or something like that. And then we can help and show you progressions and tips and different training methods and exercises and stuff to be able to do those things.
Yeah, I think that's like a big thing is, especially in like classes when we do workouts for time or something to that nature, people then automatically want to take whatever is the fastest way, which is going to be lighter weight, a shorter box, anything like that that's going to make it faster, but it's not necessarily pushing them.
Right.
So, being able to realize like it's okay to go heavier and have to go slower. Like, there was a workout we did today where, I could have used the 25-pound dumbbell and would have went a lot faster, but I chose to use the 35 because I need to practice that, and that's what the prescribed weight was. For like our workout program, it gives you a weight or number of reps or certain movement, but you can adapt it to where you're at. And if that wasn't the prescribed weight, probably wouldn't have used it. And I wouldn't have known that I could have done it had I not challenged myself and kind of gone. You have to go out of your comfort zone basically, and not be afraid to fail, because it's gonna happen. Today I failed snatch, but that's okay, because you can learn from whatever you did fail. You learn more from that than from the ones that you actually make, because you don't know where your limit is yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, kind of to go right off of that, like a tip that I guess I would say is have some sort of program to follow, whether you're coming to the classes, like every time Taylor or Bethany write a workout for the class, like they're building off of every other workout before that. Or personal training, we are specifically giving you things that you need to work on. Or if you're just following a different program, if you're not around here, have a program to follow, because that's going to make you do the things that you don't want to do. I can say 100%, if I wasn't following a program right now, I probably would not have progressed as much as I have in my toe-to bars or my pull-ups, because I wouldn't be doing them if it didn't call for it in the program. So although those are the things that you don't want to do, those are the things that you need to be doing the most. There's been times where our program is pretty long. It takes us 1.5 hours to 2 hours to get through typically. And there's days where I don't have time to get through the whole thing, and a lot of times I'm like, what should I take out? And I always want to take out the gymnastics part. And so Taylor says, what do you need to work on the most? Well, I need to work on my gymnastics, so that's what I'm going to do, even though I don't want to. And I'm happy that I have, because now I have progressed a lot in the last 6 months or so. So I guess that's my little tip, is have a program, stick to it, and do the hard stuff.
It's one of our favorite quotes is do the hard things,
Do the
right?
hard things, yeah.
You gotta do the hard stuff. It actually happened this morning. I had a client in my 515 class that I know her capabilities and her strength, and I picked out the weight for her on the barbell, and she did the whole workout, did really, really good, got like 8 or 9 rounds, and after the workout she said, I probably should have used a little less weight, and I said, well, you did the whole workout and you did the weight, and you didn't have poor form or anything, so that was a good enough weight. You shouldn't have gone, why do you think you should have gone lighter? And she just said, well, it was really hard, and I said, well, that's what's gonna make you stronger. It's what's going to make you better. You know, you might have been able to go a little tiny bit faster with a lighter weight, but like what Bethany said, we could all go with a lighter weight and do everything quicker or better, but it's not going to make us progress in our training.
Yeah.
And what I like about CrossFit is, like, when we pop open our program and we look at our workouts, everything's based off percentages of our own capabilities. So our 1 rep maxes, that's why we're like this week we're testing our 1 rep max in pretty much every lift, like the squat, the deadlift, the bench, the push jerk, the snatch, clean and jerk. And then we work all of our sets and reps for the next year are going to be based off that 1 rep max. So we'll do a certain number of reps at a percentage of that max. That way we know that we're using the right load. We're not coming in and sandbagging it every day. Same thing with the Metcons. They have a prescribed weight. They say you can either use this weight or this weight for men, this weight or this weight for women. Usually it's like a harder or standard and then a slightly modified weight. And that's what Bethany was saying earlier. She could have gone with the 25-pound dumbbell and scaled it, but she knows she's capable of doing the 35. She just knew it was going to be tough. But since she could do it, she's like, I need to do this to get better at it. Right. So she could have got a faster time, but is that really going to make her more fit or more capable of doing that 35? No. She needs to do that 35 more and more and more and more, and it's going to get easier, and her intensity is going to increase. The next time she does that workout, let's say we repeated it 6 months from now, she could do it even faster because she's training with that heavier load. The cool thing that I will say is, as you're doing classes, and you could do this maybe every 3 months or 6 months or a year, you know, if you did a workout that you really liked, or if there was a workout that really challenged you, you know, and then you repeated it 6 months later after progressing in your training and did the exact same workout, the exact same weight, you can see how much easier it is. And then you really notice, wow, I'm getting a lot more fit or a lot stronger because that workout was super hard 6 months ago or 3 months ago, whatever it is. So that's one cool thing about, you know, constantly challenging yourself and doing harder things, is when you do go back and do something that you previously did and realize how much progress you've made, it's really cool to see. You know, like we were talking earlier, and Caitlin was getting frustrated with her snatches. It's something that's very, very hard to learn, and she hasn't got the technique perfected yet, but she did hit a 1 rep max, and her pull-ups, she's starting to string together really, really good. There's a couple other things that she's getting better at, so I told her, focus on those things, like all those things that you're getting way better at. Don't just beat yourself up over the things that you aren't getting yet. But at the same time, I can tell that she cares about getting better because she's getting frustrated by it, which is really cool. And that's really the only way to get better, is the things that you can't do yet, but you get frustrated and angry with. Realize that that is an indicator that you actually care about getting better, and that's what's actually going to push you to being able to do that and work for it.
Yeah, and being able to compare, like you kind of said, compare to where you were like last year. Like that's why we do the Open every year, is it ranks you worldwide, compares you with everyone. I mean, like 300,000 people do it every year, right around that number, and you're able to see like how you stack up, and you can see like what level you were last year and then what level you were this year. So like the first year I did it, I was like in the 50th percentile, so I was like just average, and then this past year I was closer to like 75. So like knowing that my fitness has increased a decent amount, like I mean day to day it's hard to see. Like, you know, you come in and you do your workouts, sometimes you feel like you're just spinning your tires, but if you look back to, you know, 6 months ago, a year ago, and I mean, you know that you're getting better. And even if you don't, like, say on Monday we went for a PR in front squats and in power snatches, and I was able to hit my old maxes and do it with better form, but I just couldn't PR that day. It was either, it was from the weekend, from what I had eaten or drank, and not getting, the best quality of sleep. It could have impacted that. So don't judge all your progress on just like one marker, because like the rest of the week, been hitting PRs, been feeling great in workouts. So, don't let one day discourage you. Just kind of know that, just keep working at it, keep following the program. That's the big thing. It's easy to look at one day or one negative thing, like, snatches for Caitlin, and then you can ignore everything else that's actually working and getting better. So trying to not focus on like those little things and just focus on the process of, okay, I'm going to follow the program, I'm going to push the intensity, and you know that over time you will get better.
I just think it's really cool, like how if you push yourself in the gym, it just goes out into life with you. Like I know if I can get through a really super freaking hard Metcon, then I can face anything else that is going to come just in my daily life. And another little tip that I have is like finding a workout partner who's kind of on the same-ish level as you. Like Bethany and I were talking about today, like when I worked out kind of by myself yesterday, it was a lot harder for me to get through versus when her and I work out together and we just have each other there to push each other and to say, you can do it, like come on, you can just push through, you can do it. So if you can find somebody who's, and you don't even have to lift the same, like we are very different in our lifts, but again, we go off percentages, so it doesn't really matter, but still we just push each other to our own max, and it's just so much easier and nicer having somebody there to kind of push you. So come to a class, do group training or whatever you have to do to just get through the hard stuff with somebody else helping you do it.
Yeah. Maybe have someone else that their strengths are your weaknesses, and then your strengths are their weaknesses.
Yeah.
So like my strengths are more of like the Olympic lifts, the typical strength movements, rowing, biking probably, and then like Caitlin's strengths would be like body weight, strict pull-ups or push-ups and, different things like that, more of like the cardio body weight type stuff. Like for me to try and keep up with her on burpees is hard. I can do it sometimes, but it's good because you're able to push yourself and make yourself better when you have those weaknesses. And if you're training with someone that's strong at them, you're one, can get tips from them, and two, you have someone to kind of like chase. But you're not like getting demolished every time. Like it can be discouraging sometimes if ever, to work out with Taylor and I scale, and you scale the workout and he's like walking on his hands and I'm like dying over there from 2 wall walks and I'm just like, oh. So it can get, a little bit frustrating in your head, but that's more of like your ego talking, which we realize, we're not perfect, we're not always, the most mentally strong and motivating people. We have days when we get frustrated and you just have to know like to push through, to look back on where you've been and then focus on like moving forward, because if you just want to stay where you're at, then you're not really going to make any changes.
Yeah, and I like that you said work out with somebody that kind of pushes you, because basically all throughout high school and in college, I worked out with people that were typically bigger than me or stronger than me, and that's kind of what pushed me to get bigger and stronger. And when I started CrossFit, like my friend, he was a lot better than me at the Olympic lifts and the Metcons and all that stuff. So I had somebody to try to chase after or try to kind of compare with and work toward being. And then as I stuck with it and got better and better and better, now I can be that person for these guys. Like, they see me doing crazy stuff that they want to do. That probably motivates them to work harder so that they can do those things. So it's always nice actually working out with people that are pushing you to become better or are a little bit better where you want to be, rather than working out with somebody or maybe scaling back to where other people are. You're not going to progress if you do that. So just make sure that you're at the intensity that you need to be at. I do see that in our classes sometimes as people will, if we're competing against a workout where it's all for time, everybody's got to do the same thing, and some people aren't to their level, they have to use a lighter weight or do less reps or something, so they will also choose a lighter weight or do less reps just so that they can be faster. You want to try to just keep in mind that you're trying to keep you're in your own lane, like you're competing against yourself at the end of the day. So you need to make sure, kind of like what Bethany said, like the reps in reserve or the percentages, like you're keeping that intensity like at 80% or 90% of what your max capacity would ever be in order to keep progressing and getting better. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm comparing myself to the games athletes. That's where I want to get, the level that I want to get to. So I'm constantly looking to see what they're doing and their times. And on our program, we have a leaderboard, and I'm always chasing the top of the leaderboard and trying to, beat them, I guess, to try to make myself better and see where I'm at and see where I need to improve and things like that. So,
yeah. It's fun to compare, like especially for the leaderboard. That's the cool thing with our program is like obviously we compare ourselves to the other people we can see, and then I mean we don't necessarily compete against each other, but we're there to push each other. Like I mean, if I'm working out with you, it's friendly competition. It's not like you don't get mad if someone beats you. You're just like, oh hey, they did really good today, and you just focus on yourself, but they're just kind of there to motivate you to push harder, because otherwise you wouldn't go as hard as you would. I just know that for myself. Like I push a lot harder if I'm working out with Caitlin, but if I try to do it just alone, it's a lot different. But having the leaderboard, it also kind of shows you where you're at. So like where your strengths and weaknesses are relative to everyone else. So like the open, when we do those workouts, if there's like a strength biased workout and you do better in that, then that means that's more of your strength. But then if you have workouts that have burpees or more conditioning in it and you place lower on those, then you know that that's what you want to work on to get better overall. So for like our program, when you put it in the leaderboard, my strength numbers are usually in the top 3 or 4, somewhere around there. And then you get to a workout with like legless rope climbs or handstand push-ups or bar muscle-ups, and I have to scale those movements so my score drops way down the leaderboard. So that's what I have to work on to get better. It's not like of course it's fun to come in and lift heavy every day. I mean, I love it. That's probably why that's my strength. So I have to do the things that I don't really want to do in training, like kind of like you had touched on, to get better overall.
And the cool thing is you can see that progress after so long of doing it, as you increase the intensity of that training, and then you look back and be like, oh wow, I can actually do X amount of chest to bar pull-ups or regular pull-ups or whatever, when 6 months ago I couldn't.
Right.
Like that. So definitely very, very cool.
Yeah, it's some of the most rewarding parts of it. Like doing the work is good too, but then like seeing how far you've come in 6 months after like putting in that work, it's putting in the work that really makes it. It's like if you could snap your fingers and all of a sudden I'd be able to walk on my hands like nothing, it wouldn't be as rewarding.
No, yeah. Putting in the work is definitely very rewarding, and I would say it definitely makes you feel more confident in the real world. Anything that you do, once you're able to put yourself through some of these brutal workouts that we do, not many things scare you. When you hear about people, saying how exhausted they are from like gardening or planting flowers, it's like you should try something like this kind, and then that'll be easy. Like that's the whole point of working out, is you want to make your daily life easier and more doable. You want to be able to do things without getting tired or without hurting yourself. So that's why the whole point of us being here and helping you guys is so that you can live a healthier and happier lifestyle and be able to do more things. For myself personally, like I have a goal set on being a semifinal level athlete. I don't think I have the desire to be a games level athlete because I don't want to sacrifice other things in my life. And I know that if you wanted to be a games level athlete, which if you don't know what the CrossFit Games are, think of it like the Super Bowl of fitness. It's the 40 fittest men and women get together in the whole world, and they compete to see who the fittest person is. And the semi-final level would be like the top 150 in the world, men and women. And I'm chasing to be in that category. And part of it because I want to do it for myself. I love the sport. I love training. But part of the other reason is being a business owner and the owner of this gym, I want to show you guys and my coaches what we're actually capable of when we actually work really hard. because I am not a gifted athlete. I wasn't genetically gifted and super strong and jacked. I had to work for everything, and it just through years of practice and constant determination and consistency, I've gotten to the level that I've gotten to, and I don't plan on stopping. There's people in my gym that I can look at and be like, they could be twice as fit as me, but they won't because I'm going to outwork them, or I'm going to stay more consistent and push myself, or they maybe aren't willing to do the things that they need to do to be fit, or as fit in CrossFit. So just kind of realizing that you want to try to push yourself to be your best, and you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else either. Just try to become your best and try to get healthy and challenge yourself, because you're going to be ultimately happier at the end of the day, way more confident, especially when you put in that hard work. You appreciate it a lot more. Like Bethany said, if we snapped your finger and you were 30 pounds lighter and super fit, you're not going to appreciate it or enjoy it that much compared to if you worked for it for a few years.
It's all about getting that 1% better every day.
1% better every day, that's right.
Yeah, that's just those little things over time. 1% better, if you got 1% better every day, you'd be 37 times better by the end of the year. If you think about that, it's pretty insane.
Don't try to do the math on that, but it takes a special calculation.
I just have it memorized.
Yeah, I know. Last time I said that, people were trying to do a calculation. They said, let me get out a calculator, and you gotta do this. Just trust us.
It's exponential. You might not see anything in the beginning, but then after time, it just kind of builds up and clicks one day. For your pull-ups or your toes to bar, all of a sudden one day it just kind of clicked, and you were like, oh, now I can string 7 of them together because you learned how to kip, and it does. It takes a lot of repeated actions to figure out how to do it, and same thing with snatches. You're gonna struggle for a while, but one day it'll click. When I started, I did 55 pounds because I had to figure out how the technique worked, and then slowly over time I built up so where I could actually squat snatch more than I could power snatch, which is how it should be. But for the longest time, I could power snatch, which is not catching it in the squat, a lot more than I can squat snatch, just technique wise. But yeah, that's just
in college. I could not do a 45-pound overhead squat because I didn't have the mobility or the strength to do it. And I was bodybuilding at the time, so an overhead squat, you just hold the bar up and you squat down like this. And I was so immobile that just a 45-pound bar I could not squat. And I could squat probably 400 pounds at the time and bench 300 pounds or whatever, but I couldn't do a 45 pound. That was a very humbling moment that I realized I wasn't nearly as good shape as I thought. And now I can catch their overhead squat probably almost 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So just through practice and challenging yourself, you can definitely get very, very far. So, anything else?
And I remember almost a year ago now, last October on your birthday, we did a birthday Metcon for Bethany, and that was my
It was your first
Metcon that I did with these two and Katie, and we had to do devil's press, which I'd never done before, and I didn't do them right. I was not doing them right at all. I was not doing a snatch. I was cleaning them and then pressing them because I couldn't get it. And I remember being so frustrated, man, I wish I could do that. And now, I can do those.
Yeah,
those are
a lot easier.
a lot easier. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's really cool to look back and see, but you gotta go through the hard stuff. You gotta push through.
Yeah, a lot of days. We don't always want to work out, but we do. It's we come in and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm sore, I'm tired, I don't feel good, I don't want to work out, and then you do it, and then you feel better.
Yep.
And speaking of increasing intensity, I'm at the point where it takes a lot of reps and a lot of weight to keep challenging myself. So when you add up the volume at the end of one of my workouts, I added up just in the other day, I think it was just overhead squats, it was 10,000 pounds of volume in one Metcon that we did. And when you think about that much volume and the toll it takes on your body, it's like getting hit by a truck some days. It's like a part-time job, it takes a long time to recover. That's why we constantly talk about going to bed early and getting a good night's sleep. I'm just telling these guys, I need a power nap today because I'm just whipped, and I need to recover for the next workout. So it's definitely hard for us. I just wanted to say that, when people say, these things are easy for you guys, I can't do it, don't get discouraged. You just got to keep working at it. you'll be able to do all those things and increase the intensity and get way better at all the stuff. You just gotta keep working. So,
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
That is it for today, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't, make sure you like and subscribe so we can see all the future videos. If you need help with anything, feel free to reach out. You can just comment below or go to our website, TaylorHutchinsonFitness.net, and you can set up a free intro and talk to any of us for 15 or 20 minutes. We can figure out what your goals are, give you a game plan, and help you out. Until then, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one.